stuff, but a lot of the reasons why Japan works so well
It's protecting the rules, yeah.
You know, the trains are always on time. Things just work in general. It's hard to explain. The streets are clean.
To be honest, I love this kind of special. I love this kind of
societal rules that
But
make it
it's
happen
hard
more
to
or
follow
less.
for
But sometimes
foreigners.
there are
私は皆さん、テリチャンネルのテリです。
なのです。
いつも動画を見てくれてありがとう。今日はですね、登録者1億人を超える YouTuber、日本に1年住んで良かったところ、悪かったところというビデオを見ていきます。私も日本で1年住みたいです。ではどんなビデオかな、楽しみです。見ていきましょう。では、1、2、3。OK。
Japan review. Japan review.
Let's
It's
see.
been a year since I moved to Japan, and I thought it made sense to finally rate Japan. I will talk about the things I like and the things I don't like, which seems to be the only two options available if you have opinions about this country. Ah, Nihon daisuki. It's so sugoi. Did you know Japan is actually really bad? It's got a lot of societal issues. Okay, I will list one good thing and bad thing, and I will not hold back. There's
Okay,
no trash
let's see.
bins.
No trash bins, that's
Where am I
true.
gonna put my trash?
It's very hard.
I
How
put it
is
in
it
my
even
pocket.
possible?
Yeah, there is a big reason about
Oh,
that.
oh.
But you have
There's
to
always
bring
these
it at
generic
home and
things
put
that
it
you
in
hear,
trash
or
bin
yes,
to
when
your
you
house.
visit, it's kind of weird, but then you realize it's not a big deal. Anyway, let's start off with number one reason I like Japan.
Okay.
It feels like a giant playground. No, I don't mean in the Logan Paul kind of sense of doing whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, and no
But
one
rather,
will really
there's
mind you
infinite
about this.
things, or at least it feels like, to explore and experience. And I've been here a year now, and I don't think I'm gonna get bored anytime soon. Although I am having a child, so I don't know how much more I have time to experience. But it really feels like a whole new world, and if you visited, you can probably relate to it. And I'm glad that even a year in, it still feels incredibly fresh. And I even would say that you realize that the best part of Japan aren't the touristy places,
Yes.
kind of obviously, but
Yes.
there are so many areas that I found that I really enjoy visiting. And this is probably more specific to me, but you know, Tokyo is very busy, and so many times I just catch myself surrounded by what feels like hundreds of people.
Yeah,
And
so many
they
people.
have no idea who I am. Everyone is just doing their own thing.
Yeah, you know
And that
it's so
feels so
good.
fucking good.
He has
No one's staring
111
at
million
me.
subscribers.
No one's following me. No one's
Yeah.
being weird. You guys are weird. I'm just kidding. I just love the feeling of being able to
It's
exist
almost
in
like a
public
Japan
and not worrying
people,
about
like
what everyone
120
else
million is
doing.
living in
Like
Japan.
I've said this before, but I genuinely enjoy
Oh, it's
talking
so
to fans or
cool.
when people approach me. It always makes me happy, but it can be kind of frustrating to always wanting to just do your own thing and always be. So yeah, let's move on to the bad things of Japan.
Okay,
Number
let's
one
see.
reason Japan is bad. It's kind of a heavy subject, and I haven't seen anyone else really talk about it. It's not brought up very often, at least, and that is cones. There's too many cones in Japan. Once you
Yes.
see it, you cannot unsee it.
Yes,
They're
I mean-
everywhere. They say, oh, Japan has so many vending machines. There's like 5 per 1 person. No, the opposite. There's more cones than people. Why are there so many cones? I need to know. You got the tall ones.
Yeah.
You got the small ones.
Oh my
the
god.
funny ones. The cute ones. The sexy ones. I just don't understand. Did whoever placed these cones think I'm just gonna barge through? Oh, thank God there's cones here. Otherwise, I had no idea what I was gonna. And I realized the cone history of Japan stretches centuries. Okay.
Yeah.
If you played Animal Crossing, sometimes it's a Japanese game, so sometimes you get these items, right? And you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's probably something Japanese. And then you get the bamboo thing, and you're like, what the hell is that? What am I even gonna do with that? And then you see it in real life here in Japan, and you're like, holy
Oh,
shit, it's
yeah.
a cone.
It's the
That's a
old
cone.
type of
Yeah,
cone.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
everywhere. I feel like they are falling. I'm glad I was able to talk about this. I'm for one and willing to call out Japan. Knock it off, man. No more cones. There's enough cones.
Yeah, yeah,
Alright,
there's
reason number 2, I
maybe-
like Japan. Yay. When we first announced that we were gonna move to Japan, there was so many people just saying how bad Japan is. Actually, did you know Japan is really bad? Did you know this? I have to list all these reasons now because everyone is like, thing, and then thing Japan. Ah! So I have to tell them, but no, it's actually But one thing in particular that people said was that old people really don't like foreigners. They hate them. So when
Yeah,
I
I've
was
heard
gonna
it many
stop by
also,
to
but
say hi
it's
to our
not
neighbors,
like
who's a
that.
little older, at least some of them, I was terrified. I heard all these stories, you know? What are they gonna do to us? I ended up ready for the worst, and I was met with nothing but kindness and welcoming,
Yeah.
and I felt like a total dick for having these preconceived ideas, thanks to other people. And just
Yeah.
a side comment, like, yes, there are definitely, probably, people that don't like foreigners and all that stuff. But I
Yeah, this
realized
kind of people
I
exist
should let my
everywhere,
own
but it's not
experiences
like majority.
dictate how
It's
I
not
feel
majority.
about certain things. Maybe that's just ignoring a problem. I don't know. It just feels like it's a bad way to approach life if you always have a negative expectation. You know?
Yes.
It's smile
Yes,
and
I
people
agree.
may smile back.
Mm. It's very funny, guy.
Anyway, my point being, Japanese people are very, in my own experience, are very nice and friendly. The majority,
Yes,
at
they
least.
are.
And
In my
yes,
experience
even
as well.
foreigners. I feel like
Mine
they're
too. I
especially
have
nice
many
to
Japanese
foreigners
friends.
because they think we're like a kid lost at Disneyland or something.
Yeah.
I just asked for directions. I didn't need you to walk me for help to the specific place I was going, but thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of times I go bouldering alone, and there's always other groups of people being supportive and yelling like "Ganbatte!" Like,
It's really
I love
cool.
it. I think it's great. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
or if
really
you're small
cool.
talking with people, people genuinely want to communicate with you, and I love having those moments. But of course, there's times where people are like, "Oh, you're a foreigner. I don't feel like even trying," which I get. It's fine. Speaking of which, reason I don't like Japan number 2,
Okay,
the
let's see.
language. I have lived here
Language?
for a year, and
Yeah.
I'm not fluent in Japanese. I am dumb. I am very dumb. I remember the moment we moved here, I had studied some Japanese.
But this is, I
and
think,
I
in
was like,
his case, he's saying,
let's
you know,
test out
from
this
him.
knowledge.
Because this
But I
wasn't
have
problem
applied.
for me.
For me,
Let's go.
it's
Yeah.
hard.
But if you study, it's not
Come
at all.
in,
Yeah.
It's gonna be daijobu. And you enter a store for the first time, and they're like, "Fukuro goryou desu ka?"
Yeah, do you want plastic bag?
What?
But sometimes,
What?
sometimes it's very hard to understand because
Oh,
they are
what?
fluent, they are speaking
The
very
classic,
fast.
the most common
It's hard to catch
experiences
words.
that you have aren't necessarily what you're taught in the textbook. Yay, I know. I think that's the same for anyone learning a language for the first time. But don't even get me started on the kanji, man. What the
Kanji.
fuck is that?
Yeah,
I feel
kanji
like
is very hard.
Japanese is such a hard language, obviously. But I don't think people realize how hard it is, at least me personally, because the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know shit.
Yes.
For
It
English
is like
speakers,
that.
Japanese is considered one of the most difficult languages, and
Yeah,
because it's just so
hard,
different.
yeah.
I listed it as bad
It
because that
uses
was
like
my
a two
first kind of
alphabet and
experience with
plus
it coming
kanji.
here. But the
So
more I
it's
interact with
hard.
people, the more it feels like I'm unlocking new skills, you know? Oh, I made a phone call for the first time. Oh, I could ask someone over the phone. I know, big deal. But it's like, oh, I can actually do that. Or even just having a small, tiniest, shittiest conversation with a stranger. It's still something, and it feels good. You start to all of a sudden understand, you know, a movie. If you're watching, oh, I understand actually what's going on here. Or I can play games and kind of get what they're saying. I have to look up words, obviously, but to me, all those new experiences that it unlocks to me is very rewarding. Even though it's such a challenge, I would actually now say it's a good thing. Ha! I played
Yeah.
it on its head. It was a good thing all
Because
along.
for
But
me,
I obviously
when I
have a
was
long
first time
way
in
to go.
Japan, I was
And
very
just- I don't
shy.
think it would
Even
ever
I
stop.
know some
Reason
words
number
how to
3, I
say.
like Japan.
I was like
This has nothing to do with Japan.
all the
just
time
saying.
like this.
It's more related to me taking a more relaxed approach to YouTube. For my entire 20s, I did nothing but YouTube.
Yeah.
That was my life, and that's okay. But I also think it was a little toxic, probably. You know, if I wasn't making videos, I sure as hell was thinking about making videos. I uploaded videos during a homework. And it feels really good to finally be free from it, you know? And I can discover other things in life. There are other things in life. New hobbies and interests that I've always wanted to do. I can do and have so much fun with it. Surfing, I know I would love for the longest time, and I finally get to do it. And it's so fucking amazing. I love learning new things. Anything that isn't necessarily connected to all of this on the internet. And that is something I'm very, very grateful that I discovered. So yeah, it's not really Japan. I could have done that anywhere. But it's largely why I enjoy it so much here. Reason I don't like Japan number 3, this is
Number
probably
3,
the
let's
most
see.
trickiest one. and it's the rules.
Oh, there is many rules.
Japan has so many rules.
Yeah.
And it's a bit conflicting for me to complain about because a lot of the best stuff about Japan, not the best stuff, but a lot of the reasons why Japan works so well.
It's protecting
because,
the rules, yeah.
you know, the trains are always on time. Things just work in general. It's hard to explain. The streets are
To be
clean.
honest, I love
People
this
are
kind of
and
stuff.
so on. And
I
these
love
are
this
sort
kind of
societal
rules.
rules that
But
make it
it's hard
happen
to
more or less.
follow
But
for
sometimes
foreigners
there are
because
rules
it's too
that
many,
just
really.
don't make any sense. And I have no problem following rules as long as I understand the reason for it. You know, don't talk on the phone on the train because it's generally annoying
Yeah.
when other
Yeah.
people do that
Yeah.
to you. A lot of it is just be thoughtful of other people. It's not just about you.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just makes it more pleasant for everyone. But one rule, especially which I talked about before, is the fact that because of COVID, I'm not allowed to be in the delivery room for our baby for more than 2 hours. That's because of COVID
yeah,
rules.
that
It
was
just
hard.
doesn't make sense to me. And I tell people about this, like family and friends, and they're always like, well, why don't you just ask them? Or like, why don't you talk to them? I'm sure you can, there's gotta be some way. And it's like, no, it's Japan.
Yeah.
Okay? There are
You
rules
can't
and
change
people
if
follow
there
the
is
rules.
something.
For better
But
or
COVID,
worse,
yeah,
you know?
Japan was
So the
is
more
very scared
time
of
I
COVID.
spend here, the
and
more
that's
time
why-
I encounter these sort of rules that, in my head, at least don't make sense. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm above it or like, oh, I don't get it, so therefore I'm above it. But it's still really frustrating, I think. Because, yeah, rules exist for a reason. And even though
Yes.
the reason might not be obvious to you, they are usually there for
Yes.
some sort of
He's smart.
practicality. I don't know. I'm just trying. I don't get it, man. So, lastly, the reason I like Japan. I feel like there should be a word for it. It's more of a feeling than anything, and it's could be happening at any point during the day. Maybe I'm riding a bicycle. It's sunny outside and surrounded by
Yeah, it's really
trees,
good.
and it's just pleasant in general. A warm wind hits your face, and you just sort of have that moment where it feels just so amazing. It feels like you're living a dream. It could be just walking my dogs, and then out in the distance, everything is clear, and you see Mount Fuji popping
Yeah,
up.
it's really-
You know, I'm surfing, and the sun is setting, and it's turning the whole ocean to look pink. And it's just one of those moments where you feel like I'm living in a dream. I just feel like, how is
You
this
are.
real? I don't even believe it myself. And I catch myself a lot in those kind of moments living here, and it's just a wonderful thing. Happy days. I feel really silly talking about it because it's not like these things don't exist anywhere for anyone. It's not like, oh, Japan. But moving here, I feel like I definitely get those moments more
Yeah.
often. It's not like I wasn't happy in UK or wherever, but I think just in general, it has changed me and my priorities and as a person to the better.
それはいいですね。
Weird way. And I realize a lot of it is also very specific to me and my circumstance. I have the opportunity to not work as much anymore, and I have the opportunity to have a lot of freedom and not engage in a lot of the bad parts of the tough work ethic in
Yeah,
Japan,
it's
for
very
example.
hard.
And so I think me specifically feeling like I don't get recognized, so that's also a reason I really enjoy here. A lot of the reasons I enjoy Japan is very specific to me, at least. And people like Japan for different reasons, obviously. I'm not surprised or necessarily think people are wrong to try to dispel Japan from being this holy mecca or anything like that. But I think ultimately it's an amazing place to visit. You should definitely do it. But I also think not everyone's going to enjoy living here. That's my big asterisk.
Yeah,
Basically.
but I will.
I feel like if you're content as a person, you should be able to be happy where you live.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least for me, for example, living in UK, I was just as happy as well. But like I said, catch myself in these happy moments more often here, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that sort of summarizes it. I would put Japan S tier. Thank you for watching this video. I see you guys next time.
It was very interesting.
Like what he said, like those like good and bad things, like
Yeah.
made me want to visit Japan more.
Yeah, I've heard everything from him, but for example, it's his personal opinion, and this is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Difficulty is not the language in Japan. Of course, sometimes it's hard when you are speaking with people who speaks very fast on Japanese, because I am speaking fast on Georgian or English. Even Japanese, I'm speaking pretty fast too. But my speaking and fluent person speaking is very different.
Yeah.
And I think when you learn Japanese, you will understand this thing as well. Yeah, when the first time I went, as I mentioned in video, I was very shy to say something, or even because of this shyness and because of I was very nervous everywhere, I was forgetting everything. And when someone was speaking to me, I was please repeat again and please more slowly and like this.
In general, I don't think they're like what he said, like it was bad things or something.
Yeah, I think
in general it's like sounds very interesting.
Yeah, and I think you will understand this everything when we go there. And maybe after going in Japan, we can record video for you, for example, what things you liked and what you didn't like.
I would love to, and I think there will be things what I liked.
Yeah, but for me actually also it is hard to find things what I didn't like in Japan. Only thing, it's not about like, but it was little bit uncomfortable for me, was that there is no trash bins outside. It's very rare, but I understand the reason, of course, and
it's better like this.
Yeah, and one more thing is little bit difficult, but actually it's good for humanity like that, is that in Japan they are recycling the trash, like a plastic, glass, and this is separate. But in Georgia it's just very easy to put everything and
everything
throw.
together in the street.
Yeah,
like
it's very
everywhere.
bad like this, but it's more easy.
Like he said in bad things like about rules, but to be honest, I'm this kind of person, like free everything, but I love rules and those kind of things, because it maybe it's complicated, but it makes me feel safe. So
it's not
I'm
like
sure,
a chaos.
So I'm sure that I will feel very safe in Japan, exactly because of those rules. So I love this is a good thing for me.
Yeah, because in Georgia we don't have this much rules, so it's hard to live here because of that, because it's like a chaos.
Or we have and no one.
Of course. Actually, like this. If you look at it, we have, but no one is protecting.
No one cares.
Yeah, this is very bad.
私は日本で良かったことはひなたのできたことだったです。ひなたちゃん。
では今日の面白いのビデオはここまでです。最後まで見てくれてありがとう。次のビデオでお会いしましょう。またねー。